Need I remind you of the horrible mobile game ads we see on a daily basis? Do I have to watch this horrible excuse for a mobile game on my screen right now? No, you absolutely do not, and for the rest of this video I promise the games will be better than that. Because there are good games out there, you just gotta know where to look. This is a follow-up to my first video covering a list of 30 wonderful games. It was so cool to hear how many you guys fell in love with. But as a result, nearly every comment suggested another game to try, so here we are with 30 new games, all coming from you. If I don't cover a game you think deserves a spot in this video, please let me know. I'm also adding new categories like racing games or escape games, as well as returning to some of the categories from the last video. Again, the point of this series is to hopefully introduce you to some new games you never knew you needed in your life and give them the proper recognition they deserve. I understand Brawl Stars or Block Blast are fun, but I think it's safe to say they have had enough publicity on their own. The games I'm covering are mostly underrated, unheard of hidden gems that you've been missing out on until now. Without further ado, let's find out which of these mobile games will become instant modern classics, and just how many of these you specifically suggested that are now among our top picks. I think it's important to start small, to start simple. So here's 2 games from the simple starters category. Look at that, you've got a Bricky Boy. We open that bad boy up and get our hands on a brand new handheld system. This is so incredibly charming. The graphics capture that old classic handheld really well, while still looking pretty nice. I love the boss designs especially. It's a pinball brick-breaking game, but there's a lot more packaged in here, with various minigames, new power-ups to unlock and upgrade, and cosmetics of course. The skins change your whole device, which is so fun and actually makes me want to unlock more. I will say, the ads are pretty egregious in this one, and if you enjoyed enough to pay to remove them, I think you'll have a much better time. But I really enjoyed trying to get further and further, as the levels got more difficult and secret bosses began to appear. Again, the personality of everything, especially the bosses, is so cool. I love how the last few blocks get bored and become sentient and move around the screen. Bricky Boy is so simple, so easy to pick up and play, and a great starter for our list. And now, here's one of the greatest upgrade games ever made, Burrito Bison Launcha Libre. If you've ever played those old Flash games like Learn to Fly, then you know exactly what this is. You'll start the game pretty weak, barely making any progress. But each round you'll earn more money, allowing you to buy more upgrades to do better and better. So you can buy direct upgrades for Burrito Bison, making him stronger or faster, or you can upgrade the gummy bears, who help bounce you along the ground, and offer items to make your rounds last longer. Eventually you'll hit a wall, and your first challenge is to get good enough to break through it, which is a great feeling. Then you'll even get new playable characters. I love how both these games just drop you right into the action, forcing you to learn how to play and not dragging you through tutorials. I'm really curious if there's an end to this game or if you can just get better and better forever. If you're like me, you love games like this, and you'll be finding out along with me. Some games are so old you might completely forget about them, but these games deserve to be remembered, so allow me to remind you with our old favorites category. If you're looking for a long, grand adventure, then you're gonna love the classic Swordigo. I put this quite a long time ago for another video of mine and sort of forgot about it until you all suggested it here. The graphical style is super unique, it feels like an early mobile game because of it. I believe it's become a cult classic, with a small community who are very passionate about it. The intro starts you in your village looking for your master who's lost in the forest. You're given a basic sword to defeat enemies in that area. Your super dead master gives you some magic balls and then you die too. The healer leaves the body of your elderly master and just saves you for some reason. And now you're on a mission to find an even better sword. From here, you really start the game, and you are able to find secret treasures, level up your health, attack, or magic, and complete different quests like bringing this guy his giant pot. I've never beat this one, it's not really my thing personally, but a lot of people love it, and I've always been curious to see how much deeper Swordigo gets by the end. Now, Oddmar, while having a similar gameplay, is much more up my alley. Look at this cute little Viking, look at him! It's a beautiful game, not only in the opening animation, not only in the cutscenes that play before nearly every single level in the game, but just look at the environments, the character animations. It is so gorgeous, so smooth. In what game is your jump animation triggered by spawning mushrooms underneath you to launch through the air? There's only 4 worlds with 6 levels and a boss fight each, so it's very short, but every level feels like an event because of it. And they're so varied too. It feels like a Donkey Kong game in spirit. Even the boss fights, man. This game is so fun. It's pretty challenging too. Again, like in Donkey Kong, you only get 2 hearts, so you have to make them count. Oddmar is quite literally in the top 10 mobile games I've ever played in my entire life. Go get it now! It's kind of crazy that 2 of the most suggested games I received just happen to be revolved around cats. We even had Catbird last time. So, welcome to the cats category, or catsagory, if you will. I don't know what Nameless Cat is, but so many people requested it, it has to be good. The problem is, no one told me it was delisted from the App Store. Hopefully it's just as good on BlueStacks, I guess. It's another cat platformer, very similar to Catbird, down to the pixel art and everything. The controls are pretty simple. You run and jump, and the one addition is to teleport. There's little shrines or something that you can transfer to, which leads to a lot more unique applications than I would have expected, like the movable blocks that have these shrines built into them. The little chase scene at the end of World 1 was really awesome too. There is somewhat of a story. You run into some very quirky characters, like the squid who can't get over how goddamn great they are, but the main focus is the platforming and puzzles. It's good. If you enjoyed Catbird, then good news, you got a whole new game to try. I made sure to at least reach the second world before stopping. I obviously don't want to spoil you all, but I had to see the new environment. It wasn't clear if people wanted me to try Cats or Liquid 1 or 2, so I guess I'm gonna play them both. Apparently this Liquid Kitty's owner abandoned them in this horrible dungeon filled with orange spikes and blue blocks. You can jump and slide up walls or become liquid and squeeze through cracks, going super fast. It's almost overpowered. Some levels I just skip past everything by sliding past it. The first world is probably a bit long as a tutorial, as once you beat it you're finally given your second ability, steam? A bubble? Probably Bubble Cat, she can float now. At this point I kinda got bored and decided to check out the second game, and man, what an upgrade. The movement is so fluid and streamlined now, the graphics got a well-deserved upgrade. I don't have massive arrows taking up the entire corners of my screen. In this one, we start out finding our group of liquid friends, who probably were in the first one too, I just didn't get that far. It was a blast speeding through levels with my 3 friends. It's like the most friends I've ever had. And then the world glitches and I'm all alone. We get our bubble upgrade once more and we're getting used to the loneliness. Alright, if you're depressed, maybe skip this one. I can actually kind of relate to this lonely kitty getting used to being alone. I was not expecting to relate to this game out of any game, but I'm gonna leave it there. I played about the same amount of each one, and I would definitely recommend just skipping to the second one, but yeah, good stuff. Let's make our platformer category a bit more broad, as I'm not sure one of these games really fit that description. So I'm changing the name to the side-scroller category, as if we didn't just play 2 side-scrolling cat games or anything. Holy shit, I don't think I've ever seen a game start with "this game was unfortunately made by Unity." Already this game is amazing. Welcome to Chiki's Chase, one of the most joyful, happy games that oozes with style and personality in every frame. Your character, starting with Chiki of course, runs automatically and you can jump or shoot. As you go, you shoot enemies and pick up coins to spend at the shop. There you can choose your upgrades for the run and buy extra items. There's tons of shopkeepers too, each offering something different, which is a really fun idea. It's also just interesting to take this gameplay style and make it into a roguelike. I've never seen anything like it. I will say, it does feel pretty slow. I kinda wish you ran faster or it ramped up the speed each round, but otherwise I have no complaints. It's super fun. There's different characters with different attacks too. Pickle the Frog blows bubbles, which are weaker but can be used more often, and Ronnie is a melee character, only attacking up close. There's a 4th one I haven't gotten yet, so we can keep it a secret for you to discover. No matter who you choose, they're all adorable. And that list of cosmetics is very tempting because I want Pickle the Frog to get decked out. This was a highly requested hidden gem, and now I completely understand why. Talk about games with style, dude. Have you seen King Tongue? It's pretty straightforward. Your tongue is a grappling hook, and you either use it to swing around the stage or directly grab enemies. And that's it. Taking out every banana head wins the stage. I actually thought they were lemons at first. I was about to accuse them of throwing a lemon party, but they're bananas, so it's all good. Of course, as you go, more difficult enemies appear, more ways of enemies spawn each time, and if you get hit once, it is over. Trust me when I tell you this is one of the most satisfying games to swing around in. It's super smooth and seamless. Unfortunately, you have to play this game in offline mode, otherwise have fun watching an ad after every single level. The only thing to unlock are new levels and victory poses, which I think is perfect. Other than the ads, it's great. And trust me, you're gonna feel like a tongue king too after playing. I kind of feel like we always need to include the paid category. Free games are good, but chances are you're gonna have better luck dropping some cash down first. But it's also important to spend your money wisely, right? So here's 2 games I'd recommend. In Duet, you control a red and blue dot spinning on a circle. You can spin them left or right, and that's all there is to it. This game starts off with just a few squares and rectangles hanging out, and after a while they start moving around too, and that's when things really get tough. Platforms just come out of nowhere sometimes, or spin in a circle faster than you. It's crazy how you're still able to keep track of both of the circles, and how your brain slowly begins to understand the patterns and movements needed for each type of obstacle. What's also cool is that when you die, you leave a paint splatter on the object. So if I've ever beat something first try, the stage will be completely clean. But for other levels, it looks like a freaking massacre took place. And it did. This game is tough. But the paint splatter isn't just to taunt you with your failures, it helps remind you where you died, and it helps to keep in mind the spots you die at often so you can fix your mistakes. This game is great, I got really addicted to it and I've almost beaten the main story, but there is an endless mode and other stuff too, don't worry. I was told all the Pixel Dungeon games are great, but I only found one on the App Store, Shattered Pixel Dungeon. Now, I will admit, this game is just not for me, but I still want to include good games on here, even if it's not a genre that I'm a fan of. Dungeon crawling roguelikes have a lot to offer. Just looking at the multitude of items and upgrades I could collect is pretty intimidating. Basically, each round you're dropped into a randomly generated dungeon, with snakes and rats lurking around every corner. You can try to find every item and every room, or just run to the exit as fast as you can. You'll definitely want to get the upgrades though. Most of the times I died was because I faced a really strong enemy I wasn't strong enough to beat. The game has a little guidebook you can read if you're unsure of what you're doing, but for the most part it sort of expects you to experiment on your own, which is pretty cool. You get potions and scrolls, and it's kinda like pills in the Binding of Isaac. Sometimes you just gotta use them and hope for the best. There's also different character classes with some very nice art for each. I think I prefer the mage, as he can kill snakes before they even see you. I kept getting chased down by enemies and I'd try to run but just fail, or I'd try to attack and I'd fail that too. Obviously, I just need to learn how to encounter enemies correctly and be cautious before entering random rooms. This is a massive game, I assure you, and even as someone who doesn't play this kind of game, I really want to see what kind of other environments and bosses this game has to offer. Our racing games category is going to be a little unconventional. I think games like this are typically what you expect to find in this genre, but there are plenty of these types of games, and I found 2 that break the mold and are really fun. I think I'm in love with the game Data Wing. Just look at the aesthetics here, it is so different from the bright and cartoony look of most mobile games. This is a racing game. Most levels have you completing laps or trying to get the fastest time possible. Your little arrow can turn left and right and actually get speed boost while edging along the walls. You and me both, brother. I wish I was good at this game, just flying around and never bonking out the walls, but I doubt my gameplay is very satisfying, but at least I had fun. It's a pretty short game, I actually beat it, not realizing I was about to just sit down and play the whole thing. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing though. You could make this game infinitely long, but to just have a concise story and a fun experience to sit down and play in one sitting, it's a blast. It's a free game with no ads and it's really fun. What is stopping you from trying it? Does Not Commute is so damn cool. You start with just one car on the road, getting to your destination by any path you choose. Just remember, you'll be replaying that exact round 12 more times, only each time you're a different car getting added to the equation. The first few are fine of course, but the second I'm given a school bus full of kids, wham, I hit somebody. Now, you don't lose when you crash, but you're much slower, so it's usually best to just rewind. Just keep in mind it costs a second off your timer to do so. Let's be fair, this is more of a driving game than a racing game, but we are racing against the clock, right? I'm playing the free version, which is way harder because the whole game is a long, continuous round with the same timer the whole way through, and if you ever run out of time, you start all over. I will never beat this game unless I get the paid version with checkpoints, and I really want to since they added in boats at one point, and I'm really curious if there's going to be more vehicles or water sections later on. Either way, Does Not Commute is one of my favorite games on our list, hands down. I love escape games, or puzzle box games. I feel inclined to group in games like The Room in an escape game category, despite not exactly fitting that criteria. But the room is probably the most well-known example, so let's find a few more for our escape games category. I've got your one-stop shop for a whole series of escape games, Cube Escape Collection. You literally don't have to get any other apps, you can just play 9 full escape games for free! I'll only do a couple, then I'll let all you see the rest. First was Seasons, where you're stuck in the same room in 4 different time periods. I didn't realize this was gonna get scary, dude! How am I supposed to sleep tonight? Anyways, this is a cool concept, and if they're all as good as this, then that's a great sign. Next we head to the lake, which mostly consists of placing various objects onto a fishing line and seeing what we catch with it, like a shrimp, or a fish, or a dead body. And the last one was a painting one, much less scary. I really love the final puzzle, where you had to find the color that corresponds to each symbol to correctly finish the painting. Like I said, there are 6 more after this I haven't revealed, and this developer has made more than that. You've got a ton of games to try now, and while some of the puzzles are definitely BS, that's just what you can expect from these classic escape games. Since we got a whole collection of fun traditional escape games, let's cover a puzzle box focused one, which again isn't really escaping, but it feels like it fits the category, doesn't it? Vignettes is another paid game. It costs $3, but the second I saw it, I did not hesitate to purchase it. If you angle an object just right, it'll transform. And from there, you gotta transform each object one by one to find them all. Some of the colors are a bit bright, making the details hard to see, but otherwise I love how vibrant and contrasted everything is. This is the type of art style I really enjoy. Finding the sweet spot and transforming each object is really exciting. Even if the game is somewhat short, there's still a lot to do here. To me, it feels like it fits into an escape game category because there are puzzles within these objects. From using a compass to traverse through a map, to creating a little undersea musical, to stabbing a voodoo doll countless times, there's a lot of different stuff you can do here. Now, I won 100% of this game, I had to, and you're rewarded with early builds of the game, which is a pretty awesome incentive I feel like. Vignettes has so much style, and I loved every second of beating it. Well, last time we played Apple Arcade games, so let's switch subscription services and move to Netflix games. I've coincidentally just made a video all about Netflix games. If you want to see more, they're surprisingly very good. But I had to narrow it down to just 2 for our Netflix games category. Storyteller is not just a mobile game, you can buy it on Steam too, but it works perfectly well on mobile, and I love it so much I had to include it. Each story is based on an old tale, like Romeo and Juliet, or Adam and Eve, or Oedipus? There's only one incest puzzle, don't worry. So basically, you're tasked with completing each story by getting the correct characters and events in each scene. There's a lot of weddings, mourning of deaths, pushing people off of cliffs, it's a great time. It's such an interesting idea for a puzzle game, and since it uses classic stories and characters, it's easy to understand the narrative you're going for. There's like 15 chapters and a bunch of bonus achievements if that just isn't enough for you, and figuring out the tiny little secrets these achievements ask of you is really fun. Storyteller is wonderful, and I can't recommend it enough. Guys, I was really torn between choosing Arranger or Paper Trail here. I decided I personally enjoyed Paper Trail more, so let's just give an honorable mention to Arranger first. All of your movement boils down to sliding tiles, so you can move yourself and other objects by doing so. It's a wonderful style, and it is a great game. You should definitely give it a try. Paper Trail feels like an experience tailored for mobile though. The world is made up of paper. In order to cross chasms and follow broken paths, you fold the paper and create new ones. It's really difficult to wrap your head around, but it's such a smart idea I felt I had to recommend it. The different environments are really nice too, each so varied and well detailed. There's a lot to this one. It's a full-on adventure, and if you think it's going to be easy, you are dead wrong. I'm not very familiar with rhythm games personally, it's just not a genre I play very often. And I think most of us know games like Piano Tiles or BeatStar, both really fun games, but I decided to go out of my comfort zone a bit and choose 2 games I've never heard of for our rhythm games category. Phigros seems to be the most requested one, and at a first glance it seems so basic I was a little worried. You tap on notes as they hit the line, occasionally holding or sliding when necessary. I like the yellow notes the best, you don't have to tap them, you just have to have your finger on the spot they land on. It feels somewhat generic, and then the line starts moving or spinning around and you're left fumbling with the notes as the line does its own thing. It's pretty cool to just change the directions of the game as you play, and it feels so much more lively even when it's just slightly moving to the rhythm. The songs here are pretty good too, although definitely not the type of music I jam out to. There's a lot of songs here though, all for free with no ads in sight. I'm so damn good at Rizline that people started calling me the Rizzler. I am in love with that logo, by the way. Phigros is almost like a tutorial for Rizline, as it uses all the same ideas, but now the line goes even crazier. There can be multiple at a time, just waving around or moving to different spots, and your task was following it and hitting all the beats at the same time. Keep in mind, this game is free to try, and the whole base game is only $1, and I'd say if you like Phigros, you'll probably love this one too. The animations are so smooth, it is a blast to play even on the easiest tracks. I'm not even a rhythm guy, but I enjoy the free version so much I might just buy the rest to play on my own. That's how fun Rizline is. We've definitely had some puzzle games on our list, but it probably deserves its own category, right? Puzzle games are typically my favorite types of mobile games, and it was really exciting to find two very different types of games. So there's this little indie game not a lot of people have heard of. It's called Block Blast. It's pretty small. It really needs some promotion. Okay, I lied. Block Blast is like the biggest game on the App Store right now. But if you wanted a fun little twist on that gameplay, then here's a new puzzle game, Broki. You've got to fill the square while killing each demon within it, and you can only kill one demon per block. Each chapter they introduce a new mechanic too. There's trees that split up the grid, there's demons that take 2 hits to kill, making you overlap your blocks, the 4th chapter has an extra block each level that isn't needed to beat it, the 5th chapter has humans you have to avoid killing, and finally the last chapter combines everything into a genuinely difficult challenge. I kinda wish there was more overlap between chapters, as the last chapter is by far the most fun and difficult to solve, but the other chapters have difficulty too, and while it seems easy at first, if you make it far enough, you'll start to get stuck. I thought this was a fun spin on the Block Blast type of game, and isn't #1 on the App Store.
Pythagorea
is a game I would literally never play. The second I finished geometry class in school, I basically vowed to never look at shapes ever again. But if you generally do enjoy geometry, this is definitely the game for you. From parallel lines to isosceles triangles, this game has it all. Each section starts off nice and easy, but eventually you're tasked with actually understanding things and doing math to solve them. I'm sorry, do you know how long ago I graduated from high school? I can't be caught doing math anymore. You think I remember the Pythagorean theorem? The tough part is you can't use measurements to place a line anywhere, you have to make lines to place points on them. That is just so much harder. I managed to finish these circles and point symmetry sections all on my own, and I'm pretty proud of that. There are 28 different types of levels in this game, and honestly, use this app to practice geometry if you're in a class. Show your teacher and get some extra credit or something. To some people, this game will feel like homework. Creating parallelograms and making perpendicular lines to solve puzzles isn't that fun for us, but you math nerds out there are gonna go nuts for this. And the best part is, the more puzzles you solve, the bigger your tree grows. That's a cool idea for a very intellectual puzzle game. I thought it'd be fun to try a horror category. I feel like most mobile horror games are on an equal level to Backrooms buff doge horror, and I'll be honest, the screenshots for this game are so insane I genuinely considered adding it to the list, but let's get serious and be prepared to piss your little pants in our spooky games category. Now, Seashine might take place in the dark depths of the ocean, quite possibly one of the scariest real places on the planet, but it can't be that scary, right? Swimming away from anglerfish who want to eat you and randomly getting jump scared by giant eels out of nowhere isn't that bad. It's not like there's these massive open areas where anything and everything wants to come and kill you, and whales aren't constantly wailing in the distance. Okay, yeah, all that is happening, and I'm scared, and I'm gonna piss my pants, and I have to survive as long as possible as a tiny helpless jellyfish. I do really love trying to discover every fish out there, but otherwise I kinda wish there was some sort of end goal. Like maybe if you reach the very bottom of the depths, there's a creature so big you can only see its eyeball or its mouth. Wouldn't that be worth trying to reach? Either way, the vibes of this one are very creepy, and it makes me so anxious to get chased down by anything in this game because they are relentless. Alright, time to come clean, guys. I only found one horror game. I guess I should have included Backrooms buff doge horror. But I found a cool game, Do Not Feed the Monkeys, that sort of follows a FNAF or Observation Duty gameplay style with some little spooks. I had to include it though. Listen to this review. Monkeys will never have it. We watch them eat. We watch them work. We watch them make love and poo/pee. With a 5-star review like that, I could not pass this up. I wasn't sure what to expect from this game, to be honest, and after playing, I still don't. The monkey cages are actually cameras and rooms in people's houses. It's a game about being a creep on random people, and not good people by the looks of it. You're able to gather clues about each person, for example. I believe they're implying this German guy is Adolf Hitler. A man pretending he is just an old lonely guy is actually a quote-unquote crazy dictator. I would assume there's some twist you find out and he actually isn't Hitler, but I thought that about the first case, where a lady is taking creepy pictures from her attic and saying they're taking photos of a nude actress in their window and selling them online, and there was no twist, it is literally just what they're doing. My favorite part is collecting little search terms and using them in Google. You can find people to contact or more information. I'm sitting here talking on the phone with Hitler. When did the monkeys show up again? It's a crazy idea and I think I'm gonna keep playing. It is super interesting and very out of pocket. I hate how mobile games are just expected to look like shit half the time. If anything though, I suppose it does make our games in the beautiful category just that much better, doesn't it? I don't think a minute-long section talking about Sky, Children of the Light is enough time to talk about it. If you don't know anything about it, just take one look at your screen, then go and download it before listening to me yap about how amazing it is. We start out just flying through the clouds, and it is genuinely breathtaking. The music is so beautiful too, and apparently the sound in this game is more than half the experience, and you're already losing half the experience by watching me play, so now you're losing at least another half without sound. What is that, 25% of the experience? You're barely even having an experience right now! Anyways, a storm knocks you out of the sky, dropping you on a dark, desolate island. You find a candle, heal a corpse into a new friend, and drag them along into the beautiful new village. In this village, I discovered NPCs that are real people, maybe? I kind of assume this has online, but in 2025, I doubt these are actual people, but who knows, right? If you become friends with them, you get to name them. That is some power right there. In this game, you're meant to restore light to these sky kingdoms. There doesn't seem to be combat or anything like that, it's much more exploration focused. The world reminded me a lot of Breath of the Wild, which might be a dumb comparison, but then text popped up talking about the kingdom crying. Now I see, Tears of the Kingdom ripped off this game. Where do you think they got the idea of Sky Islands from? As an exploration game, it seems to be very long. Here's the map of what I explored, and here's the entire map. You got a lot of places to go. The thing I love most about this game is there's no dialogue, only text on screen occasionally, so most of the story is a show don't tell sort of thing. For a game with such a beautiful world, that is the right thing to do. There are little flying sections between areas too, which are the best parts of course, and I can't wait to see how the flying gets more and more upgraded as I go. I only finished the first area here and had this much to say about it, so I hope I've conveyed just how wonderful this game is to all of you by now. Imagine I just said like one sentence for a second game. Poor Haak. Wait, Haak? The cool Metroidvania game? As a huge Metroidvania fan, I think I found yet another game I'm gonna play from beginning to end. These videos are ruining my free time. Just look at this style, man. It's completely different from the last one, but still so well done, so detailed. It reminds me of Rain World style a lot, and I suppose it helps that it just is raining. For a long time, you don't get a weapon. I really like how gradually this game introduces things to you. First, you gotta survive by running, like when a pack of dogs chase you down. Then you get your sword and whip and use them to beat up little guys and break through walls. Then we make it all the way to our first boss, get their attack pattern down, and own them, obtaining the dash move. I feel like these games just legally have to require a dash. And that's about all I played through here, just past the first boss. There are a lot of little buttons to manage on the right side of the screen, and I worry about that a bit, but I'm sure your muscle memory would get used to it. I'm pretty interested in this world. There was a hot teal-haired woman, and if she's in this game more, then you bet I'm playing it. Now, you can get it on Steam for $18, where it'll definitely be nicer to control and everything, but on the App Store, $2. What a steal, man. This game is worth way more than that. Did I mention there was a hot girl? I'll be honest, I haven't played many mobile RPGs, but when I see one that looks so good I have to try it, that's pretty impressive. I cannot believe I am even including an RPG category, but here we are. I am so unbelievably hooked by the art style of Stone Story. This takes text-based adventures to an entire new level. It seems like a typical game in that genre until you pick up a rock with an eye on it, and the whole world becomes visible. Everything is made out of text in this game, and they did not go light with it either. Look at these locations. How is this game so beautiful? It's in the wrong category. They crafted everything so well, I'm never confused what I'm looking at. Even the characters and enemies are so well crafted and animated. Just watching my character move is a joy. The basic idea is you move from location to location to collect materials and craft new items and tools. It's mostly an idle game in the main areas, which I don't mind. You can still choose your tools, and some items like the axe you can use an ability on, attacking a bit faster, but otherwise your character moves and collects items for you. You'll find treasures, eventually you'll make an anvil that can upgrade items, and you'll continue exploring new locations and getting new weapons and stuff. I made it to a massive spider boss and beat it with 1 heart left, and it was exhilarating! This is not typically my kind of game, but this is awesome, stylistically and gameplay wise. No ads, no energy system? I think I've just found a new addiction. It's gonna be tough to top Stone Story, but I'll give you a chance, Guardian Tales. This is a much more stereotypical RPG. I love how they combine little pixelated sprites with 3D environments and objects. It looks really good. It has a much bigger focus on story too. We start out as a silent, no-name knight. I was having fun messing with their sensor system since it tells you what word they're rejecting, but apparently I Will Kill is a perfectly decent name. The kingdom is blown up and we're saved by an angel. We team up with our friend to take out a huge demon minotaur. Then a big bad guy knocks us out of the sky and we're stranded out in the woods. This is when it becomes a much more typical mobile RPG. Just look at those menus. I assume we'll be able to build a party at some point, as random characters just seem to join me on my adventure all the time. The thing is, I am genuinely enjoying playing this. Do I just like RPGs, or are these both really fun games that deserve a spot on our list? Probably the latter, let's be fair, but this seems really great. I enjoyed what I played so far. For the penultimate section, I had 2 games that I wanted to give their own categories, but only found 1 food game and 1 fighting game. So this is our food fighting category. Kinda funny how well that worked out, isn't it? Now I'll be honest, I considered Good Pizza Great Pizza for our first list, but the art style looked really generic to me, so I decided to skip it. But people really wanted me to include it, so here we are. We started a new pizzeria, and on our first day, all we have is cheese pizza. Some freak just wanted plain dough. Get the hell out of here! I do like when these games let you place the toppings yourself. It feels much more hands-on that way. I would argue Papa's Pizzeria is just better, but that game doesn't have a narrative, and the way you make pizzas and upgrade your store is a bit different. You have to actually read and talk with customers to get their order, but it isn't as upfront with you on what you did well or poorly. You can't really draw much on the pizzas either. The best I could do is a smiley face, or this frowny face I fed to the homeless guy. I do think this game is a fun, chill time though. This is a lot less stressful than working in an actual pizza place. Of course, once the tutorial is over, it'll get tougher and tougher. Having the guidelines disappear is like taking the training wheels off, but even then, this is a pretty chill game. And all I'll say is if you love this one, definitely try all the Papa's games too. Now for the fighting part, Skullgirls. Look, I promise there's more to this one than jiggle physics. I think the best thing to look for in fighting games is the animation, and of course, the controls. As a mobile fighter, I think all the movement makes sense. Slide to dash, swipe up to hit in the air, and use 2 fingers to block. And the animations are really well done. Half the time I was fighting, I kinda just wanted to hold back and see what the new characters could do. I like the setting too. It's almost steampunk with some of the characters in particular, but set in this big city, and the music fits the vibes great too. I didn't pay much attention to the story. My mind was focused on the fighting, obviously. The fighting. I wasn't looking at your turns, I was talking about the fighting! But there seems to be a little bit of everything for you here, even customizable movesets. The way you unlock new characters is through a gacha mechanic, which some people love and some people hate. I don't like getting duplicates, so that was a bit upsetting, but it is fun to randomly earn what characters you'll be playing as, especially for someone like me who is just going to be playing for a little bit. I don't play a ton of fighting games, especially on mobile, so I'd love to hear any experienced veterans' opinions on Skullgirls. I think there's a chance you haven't heard of Badland or the Battle Cats, or not so hidden gems from last time, but the games people really wanted me to cover, I refuse to believe people haven't heard of. But they are great games, so let's cover them anyways for our final category of the list. We've got yet another beautiful game on our hands, everyone. Welcome to Alto's Adventure. This game and its sequel are both free on Apple Arcade, which is awesome, but only cost $2 if you want to own them. Alto is a snowboarder, and his adventure is wrangling all his lost llamas down an endless mountain. As you play, you get various missions to complete. I think this helps keep me playing the game personally. Rather than just trying to get new high scores, I can also complete challenges. The world of Alto's Adventure is not stationary though. You snowboard through a day and night cycle, and before you know it, the lights are out and you're still jumping over rocks and getting chased down by some rando. I really want to get super far to see if there's more events like that in the game, but man, this is tough. I do love just getting to do flips after big jumps or narrowly dodging something. And of course, grinding on the buntings, you can't really beat that. There's just so much life in this series, even if it is just Tiny Wings but with a man. They have created a beautiful mountain I will never get tired of exploring. And then, we're literally just playing Geometry Dash. You guys wanted it so bad, but there ain't no way you've never heard of Geometry Dash. And when are they adding this to Alto Arcade too? It's fine, I guess. I do just own the full game already. So for pretending you aren't familiar with this one, Geometry Dash is an auto-runner platformer mixed with a rhythm game. Most of your jumps and movements are tied to the music playing. And when I tell you the music in this game is incredible, you really have no idea unless you've listened to it. The music is just iconic, truly. And most of it's copyrighted, so I'm probably playing Time Machine or Electroman Adventures right now. Anyways, I've always loved the first 6 or 7 levels the most, probably because I'm not skilled enough to beat the actually difficult ones, but there is a real learning curve here. Get the hard to master title card on screen right now. Geometry Dash deserves it. I really love practicing a level long enough to successfully beat it eventually, and even going for the coins if I'm confident enough. I earned just enough to unlock Deadlocked, and completed a measly 8% of it. One of the greatest aspects of Geometry Dash is the level creator. Thanks to other players, this game is infinite, and as long as it exists, you will never run out of new levels. Obviously, you play the popular and well-rated ones. We all know games like Mario Maker are filled with slop from random kids just randomly placing objects, but I digress. Geometry Dash is a timeless classic, and even if you're like me and can only beat the first set of levels, it is still so fun to just replay them again and again. We've done it a second time, guys. 60 freaking incredible mobile games that deserve so much more recognition. I hate looking at the top charts of the App Store, knowing that all these other games deserve to showcase so much more. But that's what I'm here to do, right? These games need our help. This is their time to shine. And if any of them looked interesting to you, you should support them. A lot of these developers have released multiple games too, so always check out their library of titles. I think it's clear I love mobile games, and I'm sure all of you out there love them too. Please remember, I received hundreds of game suggestions in my last video, and if I missed your game, it was not on purpose. And there's a little chance for me to give it a try if we continue making these videos. Every single game on our list today was suggested by at least one person from last time, and if you give me your favorite underrated mobile games in the comments here, I might play it. Thank you to everyone who left a comment last time. It was super helpful, and I've got games to try for generations now. It's awesome. And if you like this video, please leave a like and share it with people you think would like it too. Thank you so much for supporting me. Please consider becoming a member of my channel if you like my videos. I have about 30 members now, and I can't thank them enough. That's why I do it every video. So thank you, Patrick Firejohn, Dojo Master, Keep, Gall Guy, Jeb the Legend, Cheaper Ying, Test Monkey, Callum Ford, Perscube and Enter Cheki, Mr. Odell, Timor, Kernob, Aaron the Ghoul, Freakish Smile, Border to Bordo, Ceramic Tiger, Gemini, Lewis, MD Switchy, Omegon, Christoph Creations, Jonathan Biscoff, Lavatane, Green Man Yeah, McCrazy, G Baldwin 005, Mirai, Skibbity, Nathan Brown, and OK Isabella. I gotta be honest, and I don't mean to call anyone out, but sometimes I'd see a comment for a game that was super popular like Launcha or something, and it's a good game, I won't deny it. They're just not quite understanding the assignment, that's all I'll say. A Game of the Year nominee is probably not underrated, is it? Apparently this Liquid Kitty... That is a tongue twister. Liquid Kitty. Okay, maybe it's not. This was a highly requested hidden gem, and I know... This was a highly requested hidden gem, and now I know complete... Oh my god.